someone will cancel me for this opinion, but the thing is, it's the truth. If you will think how usually departments are organized and how they are growing, there is no way that, for example, marketing, sales, and other departments are super successful and customer success is not. It can't be like this.
Welcome to the Success Revenue Podcast, the only podcast in the Middle East that brings you leaders in customer success, account management, sales, and go to market to share ideas, perspectives, and valuable learnings on how to successfully drive revenue, delight customers, and take it to the next level.
We are your host. I'm Haidar Al-Sad, CEO of RevSetter, the modern customer management platform. And with me, I have my amazing co-host, Avi Ferrero, CS executive, advisor, and keynote speaker. And we're excited to bring you a long list of guests on this season of the Success Revenue Podcast. And today we have a special treat for everyone, a global CS influencer and leader coming to us from Europe. And we will be speaking a lot of things. In particular, we'll touch on how CS can scale both in terms of the function and as leaders. We'll speak about AI and its impact on CS. And then we'll talk about leadership and how you can mature in your leadership career and some of the great advice that our guests will provide us today. So excited about today's conversation, Ivy. We actually had a chance to spend some time with our guest this past weekend at the big Successify event, which is first and premier CS event, I would say, in the Middle East, in Amman in Jordan. That was really fun. How's that for you, being at the event? You did an amazing job with your keynote and the panel discussions. How was that, Ivy?
Yeah, no, it was amazing. I came back. I messaged Mohammed, which is the person who put together this amazing conference. When I was
Yes.
in the airport, I messaged him and I said, obviously, thank you so much for the hospitality. But I primarily messaged him and told him I left feeling very empowered, on purpose, and very fulfilled with the time that we had at the conference. It was so amazing. And one of the things that I think it was so fantastic is to see how many people were in the room and how many people are actually hungry for this information here in the Middle East. I think that was really, really amazing. What did you think about that?
I agree with that as well, for sure. And I told Mohammed and some of our fellow speakers and whatnot the same thing. It's really cool. I think as we spent time in the region over the past year or 2 years for you, plus you can kind of see that people are really thirsty for knowledge and learnings and kind of helping each other in different ways. So I think a lot of that came together with this event, which I know is planned to be the first of many big ones in the region over the next year or two. But yeah, I think it was really fun. Also, Amman was my first time in Amman. Beautiful city, great food, really fun place to visit also. So that was an extra benefit beyond just the event being amazing and great people there. Is got to experience Amman a little bit also for a day there, which was really fun. Because that was your first time there as well, right?
Yeah, it was my first time. Yeah, and sadly, not enough time. I think next time I need a little bit more
I
time to be
know.
able to explore a little more. But yeah, we met also we met up with some incredible colleagues within the space of customer success. One of them being
Mhm.
Alexandra as well. So it's also going to be really fun to be able to bring some of those voices onto the podcast in the next few weeks. So yeah,
Yes.
what do you think? Should we bring in Alexandra?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited to kick off our conversation and hear her thoughts on CS and beyond. So let's do it.
All right, guys. Today I am so excited because we have in the show our wonderful guest, Alexandra Sagaydak, a former chief customer officer turned founder and strategic advisor to early stage SaaS companies across Europe and the US. She's the CEO of AICS Hub, a consultancy helping B2B SaaS startups fix post-sale chaos, reduce churn, and scale CS that actually drives net revenue retention. Over the past 10 years, Alexandra has built CS orgs from scratch, growing teams from 1 to more than 35 employees, managing multi-million ARR portfolios, and leading onboarding, retention, and automation transformations across both startups and global brands. Today, she works as a fractional head of CS or CCO, coaches CS leaders, and runs deep dive onboarding audits for high growth companies. Outside of work, she's a proud dog mom, a makeup and art lover, and has an ambitious goal to see every famous painting in the world.
Mhm.
Alexandra, it is such a pleasure to have you. I am so glad we met last week on the first conference of customer success in the Middle East. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Alexandra.
Welcome, Haider. Welcome, Ivy. Thanks so much for inviting me for your podcast. I actually listened to it and it's popping up in my newsletter a lot. So I'm proud to be your guest.
So glad that the algorithm is working in our favor. But Alexandra, just tell us a little bit more about yourself if you want to go ahead and get us started that way. And primarily also tell us how did you ended up in customer success?
Yes, sure. Thanks for the intro. I think it's already says a lot about me. But yeah, I have been working in customer success for 10 years already. Initially, I've started as account management intern, and then eventually I have switched to the customer success in 2018. And since that time, I was focused on growing and pursuing customer success career path. And eventually, I became a chief customer officer in People Force. It's HR tech scale up. And yeah, and then this summer, I decided to pursue my dream, become an entrepreneur, and open my own consultancy. So that's a little bit about where I have started my customer success journey.
Wow, beautiful. And congratulations for becoming an entrepreneur. I know it's not a easy route, so kudos to you. And tell us a little bit more about the company that you opened up.
Yes, so I opened up AI CS Hub because when I have started working in customer success, I quickly realized that customer success is probably, as many people say, it's not just a function, it's a philosophy. And when the SaaS company follows this philosophy, it becomes the most successful and profitable. And I was thinking, okay, that's actually amazing. And I would like many people, founders, and many maybe other from other departments to understand this because that's the actual I think goal of everyone who works in the SaaS company to make their company successful and profitable. And for some time, I have worked with SaaS companies. Then in 2021, I started mentoring customer success leaders. Actually, it just didn't was my goal. It came to me naturally because people started recommending me as someone who knows a lot about customer success. And yeah, just this year, I started thinking, okay, how can I pursue my dream? And I've understood that actually internship is the only way because that's why how I can reach the most amount of founders and people and just spread this thought about customer success as a growth engine to the SaaS companies. So that's how it started. So yeah, I've opened it this summer. However, I have been, as I said, mentoring and consulting also since 2021. But just from the legal purposes, I opened only this summer and start openly advertise it and even positioning myself as entrepreneur and consulting agency. Was very unusual to me to just say this out loud. So yeah, I had a few projects, I had a few mentorship sessions. I had a few experiences where actually companies came to me and asked to help with recruiting, and actually was also amazing experience. So yeah, opportunities come from there and from different places. It's a small one, but still it's amazing for me, and I just keep going and believe for the best.
I love
Amazing.
it,
Yeah.
and you
So,
know it's interesting because over the past few years, we see more and more like fractional leaders that are out there doing their own thing. I still don't see enough of them, but I feel like it's such an incredible working model to be able to assist clients.
Yes,
yeah.
I think it is. And actually, I've known fractional leaders only probably more from operational space, like fractional chief financial officers, chief operating officers, and rarely VP of sales who were worked on a fractional basis. But I think the fractional roles in customer success, it's something new, but still exciting. I think it opens opportunity both for individuals who probably are not seeing themselves in usual corporate jobs right now, but also for companies who are not ready fully invest in customer success because again they have only started or they are not sure of their ICP or of the transactional growth that will come, and they would like to try but not go in and invest the full money in the hiring process and hire someone for I don't know 300k.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think one of the benefits also of the fractional role, which is different than the consultancy, kind of being a consultant before was coming in a project, doing something. I think with the fractional, you get to see so many different organizations. So when you go to the next one, you bring your learnings to that organization so they can scale and learn much faster. And I think especially when it comes to customer success, that's an area where a lot of founders and even honestly, even larger corporations that I work with, they don't really know exactly what CS is, what they're doing when it comes to this. So bringing that experience is such a huge benefit to these organizations, which is really cool to see. And Alexandra, I definitely want to talk about kind of the AI and CS name that you picked, the kind of that part of it. But before we get to those types of things, I was kind of curious because you've obviously, helped scale teams from just a few people, 2, 3 people, all the way to, dozens of people, 30, 40 people plus. You've gone through that journey, and any of us that have done that knows that there are a lot of opportunities and pitfalls and things that can come along the way. I'm kind of curious, kind of for you personally as a leader, what type of personal frameworks or evaluation methods have you typically used to see how an organization is set up? Are they ready to scale? Are they in a good position to do so? Or are they going to scale into kind of chaos and being overwhelmed with everything that happens as that organization grows? What's your kind of frameworks, these things? How do you approach it?
I would be honest. I think that chaos is a part of any organization. It doesn't only goes to SaaS. But what differentiate the SaaS that is set up for success and others who are not is the founder. And maybe someone will cancel me for this opinion, but the thing is it's true. And if you will think how usually departments are organized and how they are growing, there is no way that, for example, marketing, sales, and other departments are super successful and customer success is not. It can be like this because we are all growing together and we are all departments are super connected. So the founder and his philosophy and strategy is the one who's setting up his organization and departments underneath for the scale or either for the chaos. And that's how you can actually identify in which organization you're growing, because I think it's also set up the tone. If your CEO is active and he tries to make everyone to be responsible for the outcomes and to be not toxic, for example, and so on, you will naturally as a human being you will try to fit to the standard, yes. And there is also another way. If the CEO is doing some strange stuff, skipping the meetings or changing priorities very fast, again, you're naturally following the same behavior. And that's how organization is either succeed or no. So yeah, I think that that's how actually you can work, and also you can understand how you can and which framework to use to scale the department or which functions to use, tools, what's your strategy behind this. But it will not work for a long time because, again, if the founder is not ready to change and grow, then the organization is also will not be able to fully grow. It will grow for some period, but again, some fundamentals need to be established from the beginning.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree there. And I mean, when we talk about founders, we talk about startups and scale ups. And I think one of the things there is most founders today are either technical founders or they are founders coming from the commercial side, meaning they've done sales or marketing, something similar. Very few founders have actually done CS or scaled CS organizations themselves or understand it. And when you're a startup and growing in the beginning, it's all about, revenue and getting customers. And then you somewhere along the way, you hit that wall of like, oh no, we, we need to take care of our customers also. Otherwise we'd be in trouble. But That is a mentality shift, I think, for a lot of founders to get to. So that's why it's excellent to bring in people that actually understand this as a fractional resource or advisory or whatever it might be. Because I think for a lot of founders out there, they're either technical or sales background, and they don't have the experience, even if they're scaling businesses and doing really well, to when they hit that point when customer success becomes critical. So I think that's a very, very good point, Alexander, that you bring up. And maybe related to that then as well, for leaders out there working maybe in these startup scale ups and kind of looking to find a way of justifying, more investments into CS, whether that's into resources, into people, into just focus from the organization and kind of a pride in that. How do you kind of advise them to go about securing more investments or positioning the ROI of the department, especially as we know that most of what CS is, it's not about short-term goals or turning something overnight. It takes time to really have an impact in CS. How would you advise leaders to approach that conversation or positioning?
I think from the very beginning, it's great to show the founder or the CEO or whoever you're reporting to the CS maturity model. I think it's very popular, and actually, Rachel Provan was the one who actually gave it a second breath and make it even more popular among the customer success leaders. So, if you will show the maturity of your CS org to the founder, and what are the stages, where the stage you are in right now, and what it's take you to go to the next stage. This is amazing to use at the beginning, and also not only showing about what resources you need, but also in terms of churn or NR, how it will grow, and what are the long-term impact that customer success will bring to the organization. This is the first part. And the second part, for the short-term ROI, you can always show how much manual workload you will save in the customer success org if you will proceed with some particular framework or tool or process, because that's the first thing that starts to showing. Basically, when people stop doing some manual work, they have the time to do some strategic work, and that's that you can show easily. And over time it will only grow. So during the months, if you will think even saving 1 hour a day for average CSM, it's already amazing, because 1 hour will then becomes 20 hours, and 20 hours can be translated to some revenue retention or NRR or upsells, or even some strategic work that needs to be done. For example, establishing great relationship with some strategic accounts. It also takes time. It doesn't, this relationship doesn't come overnight. It takes time to establish them. And this relationship also can be translated not only to the revenue metrics, but for example, in some partnerships, or even spreading the word about your product in the social networks of your customers. If the customers are seeing the value from your product and they are the champions, they are more than happy to advertise it you for free in their social networks and say great words in the podcasts, in the LinkedIn, whenever they are using. So that also amazing thing that you can show to the founder why you need to invest it. If you have pages on G2 or other rating softwares, again, it takes time to establish great relationship with your customers and naturally getting these amazing 5-star reviews. It's also amazing for the company to have these reviews. So there are a lot of stuff that you can show to the founder or whoever you're reporting to. What are these short-term initiatives can bring to the company?
Wow, that was such a complete answer. Yeah, Alexandra, I'm familiar with the maturity model that Rachel Provan has shared in her teachings. And yeah, it is so, so good. And Alexandra, I'm just curious to learn a little bit more as you've been first CS hired, then you went on to be a team lead, then to be the CCO, and now a founder. I wanted to ask you, through all of these different transitions that you've had, what internal compass have helped you navigate those transitions to stay true to yourself, to the version of leadership that you want to embody?
I think that honesty with myself and with others is the first one. For example, I will not again, maybe it's bad if, for example, I would work in some very corporate environment like HubSpot, but otherwise in startups, if there is something that doesn't work or you don't see it right, you need to tell about this. It will be best for you and for the company. The second thing is to be friendly as much as possible with everyone, starting from founder to basically even content writer from the marketing team who you don't always cooperate with. It's no matter the title. If you're a chief revenue officer or you work with recruiter, you need to be friendly with everyone outside and inside of your organization, because people always remember kind and friendly people and they're willing to help them afterwards. The last thing is not tolerating something that crosses my personal values. I didn't work in organizations that had some fraud or something like this. But yeah, if you have such, I don't know, moral compass that helps you to navigate your career journey much more efficiently, because then you just don't overthink your decisions. When you don't overthink your decisions, your life is much easier and joyful.
Beautiful. I love that. And Alexandra, this past week you had a keynote that spoke about like different tool stacks that companies can actually implement, and you gave a recommendation to some of the attendees on what sort of like tool stacks you like to work with. Obviously, in your past roles, you've built tool stacks for companies. You've automated success playbooks and slash onboarding times and everything. What sort of philosophy on when to lean on tools do you like to apply? Because one thing is to lean on tools, and then the other one is to actually get more human. So, what sort of philosophy do you implement when you are looking at this?
Yes, I think that in the Sexify 2025, when we were in Amman, I showed this slide where actually it presented what we can automate and what we don't need to automate. There are a few things. First of all, we would like to automate every manual work that customer success is doing, but it's not related to the actual conversations with customers. For example, filling some spreadsheets, filling some information, editing some QBRs, or checking some additional information from different tools to sum up some information that you need for either a strategic conversation or for the renewal one. This all stuff can be automated. Again, invoicing. I've heard from Reddit that a lot of customer success team are chasing invoices right now. I think that it's better to automate the stuff with reminders to customers rather than wasting the time of customer success teams on such manual work. And all other stuff that's where you need actually to speak to your customer, all of this needs to be done by humans. Emotional conversations. We are all humans, and we as humans become frustrated with technology very easily. So if your customer is frustrated, it's better just to jump on a call and resolve this before it's escalate. Strategic conversations, again, asking for some review or participate in the webinar of your customer. Again, this should be an actual call, an actual conversation, or a meetup. I think that we are going back to this hybrid mode and we need to use it to start again visiting our customers more often. And this is where we don't need to automate the stuff. So that's the basic where you need to look on when you decide to automate some process, and that will be your compass on navigating this journey.
I was kind of thinking as you were talking through this, right? There's so many different things in terms of automation, the tool stack, and everything around it. And it kind of brings me back to what I mentioned earlier. In your consultancy's name, you have AI in there, and AI is obviously changing a lot of these things completely. And whether that's tools embedding some AI inside of what they do, or actually true native AI systems or workflows, agents, and everything else. I'm kind of curious as you now are going in and auditing post-sales organizations, working with CS leaders, where do you see AI have the biggest lift when it comes to improving CS workflows and processes and just the way that we do CS that you see already on the ground today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And with every new tool that we have on the market, and for example, with AI, we humans have a lot of expectations. But we also need to remind ourselves that all of this is new. And if we don't see immediate ROI, that's actually fine, because if we remember back in the days where the spreadsheets only have released and they probably have maybe 10 formulas, yes, and now it's so amazing software that have thousands of formulas that you can use for your accounting or whenever you need the spreadsheets. The same with AI, it's just early on and you can start small and then add more and automate more. My obvious take is the first thing that you can use is AI notes. I remember when the ChatGPT only have released was actually as a tool. I have immediately start using it. And when the new AI tools with actual AI note taker started to again appearing on the market, I was the first who told everyone we need to download these tools whenever the cost is, because it's efficient. You're not forget information from the meeting whenever a meeting is it's internal or external with a customer. And that's the most critical thing, because if you will think in tech, we always consume so much information that forget something from the meeting is such an obvious stuff. And these AI notes are helping you not to do this and to keep the conversation with the customer going and strategic. The next thing is whenever tools that you have for making AI video guides for your knowledge base again is amazing, because your knowledge base is like your is the face of your customer support or customer success organization. That's the first thing which customer goes if he wants to find the answer on his own. So your knowledge base should be always updated with the latest product videos. And if you're the product who has a go market strategy to several continents and countries with different languages, these AI tools helps you to translate and keep the content fresh very easily. Again, it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it saves tons of your time and resources, because you don't need again to hire a lot of content writers or managers or tech writers to keep this going. And the last thing is that all new CRMs or support tools like HubSpot, Intercom, Zendesk, and others already have embedded AI tools. That's the first thing that you can also start. Just start with them. They are doing amazing job with FinAI. You can basically teach them on the support and knowledge-based conversations, and it will reduce at least 20% of the manual workload of your support department. That's it. And then as you grow and as you scale, and again, as AI tools get more matured, you can start learning more what you can do. For example, again, with Zapier, it's now offers you a lot of AI workflows that you can implement. For example, if you didn't think of some workflow that can helpful, you can go to Zapier, describe your problem, and it will suggest automatically some AI workflows that you can incorporate into your routine. So you can start small again and scale. You don't need to invent a bicycle when it's already there.
Yeah. No, great advice. And I think those are a lot of different specific, very tangible things that leaders or founders can start or at least evaluate right away. And so, okay, can we improve here, support, automation, different places across the board with AI, which is just a tremendous shift in just the opportunity to be efficient. And that's obviously a big thing for CS. We hear a lot, CS organizations being overwhelmed, drowning in work, a lot of customer requests and everything else. This is a way of giving and kind of removing a lot of that water so you can kind of get your head up and focus on the things that do matter even more.
I'd like to add, even with your company that you're doing AI agents, I think it's also
Mhm.
very efficient. You can even build AI agent for your internal CS org. Whenever a customer success manager have some questions, or he or she forgot some framework, or needs to more guidance where this conversations is critical and needs to be to escalate it, or they can handle themselves, these AI agents can help and again reduce the workload, for example, of the actual direct report of this manager,
Mhm.
because they will not need to have a lot of stand-ups and calls to discuss one problem, because this AI agent will advise some steps
Mhm.
that can be done before you need to go to your boss and ask, hey, what we need to do here.
Yeah, no, that definitely. Thanks for the good plug there. And there are a lot of use cases inside of the CS organizations with with agents, absolutely. And I think, that brings me maybe to a question. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, Alexandra, because with AI, some folks in CS and across, other departments too, kind of are a little bit scared, right? Like, will AI replace me, replace my work? Whether that's, the automations and stuff that we talked about, or agents that can really handle very complex processes already today, onboarding and conversations. Can you speak to a customer? That gives people a bit of a kind of angst towards AI, I think, within the CS space at times. Um, my personal belief, it's more about human leading, AI empowering, and you create that amplification effect where you can do more important work thanks to AI. But again, a lot of people are scared because they don't know this as much. How do you kind of approach that? Have you had any conversations where CS leaders or CS people are kind of a bit scared about AI and like have this kind of it will replace all of us at some point soon mentality? And what are your thoughts on that?
I have very controversial thoughts on this, because in my personal belief system, I think that every person that starts their talk with AI should replace someone, or some role. I think that this person probably hates humans and hates themselves. I don't understand personally this concept when we already had the COVID situation and we were disconnected from each other, and we already learned the lesson that we are social creatures and we need to communicate and work together. So why again we are getting back to this topic where we need to eliminate humans, and how it's actually possible when we already have 9 million people on earth. If they all will be eliminated by AI, what these, I don't know, 6 million peoples will do, where they will earn money, and if they will have nothing to do, I think that that government should be scary, obviously. But yeah, that's a very strange talk, and we need to perceive AI as a tool. I don't know any example where, again, spreadsheets and Excel was released and CEOs and founders decided to replace accounting with just Excel. The same with AI. Why we need to talk about this? Because this is a tool. And again, humans need to train AI to verify the output. Who will do this if we will get rid of humans?
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Yeah, I agree. I don't like this fear mongering about AI. I think just like anything, you have the choice to choose how you want to look at it. And I like the choice of looking at it with like curiosity and leaning in to see how it can help you become more efficient. And I agree with you, Alexandra. I think that it sounds very scary, this world that people will lose all of their jobs. And I think that's because you're looking at it with fear instead of looking at it with a little bit of more curiosity. And Alexandra, as a woman, I love talking to women in leadership positions because I feel like as a woman, sometimes when you're trying to go on that route of becoming a leader, you're trying to understand like how do assert your power, right? And how do you get a seat on the table when most of the seats are taken by men, right? And so you've climbed different sort of like positions, team lead, CCO, and now founder in an industry where women are still underrepresented at the top. What sort of like internal shifts did you have to make to claim that space?
I will add probably that it's not only about women taking this space, and it still perceives sometimes in negative perspective, but also remind that I'm from the Eastern Europe. So I have a double wall of getting over this. I think that what I have learned along the way and what I'm constantly reminding myself, and I think that I have an amazing foundation of parents and grandparents who always positioned myself as very ambitious person and never doubt myself, is again, and just reminding every woman, never doubt yourself. Just I think that women are amazing, and it would be nice if we will go to matriarchy at some point, but yes, women are amazing, and we should never doubt ourselves. The second thing is, don't think about what other people think of you. If they think something that's amazing, I'm allowed to think whatever they want, but just without me, I don't want to spend the time on this. The last thing that I realized actually recently, probably in the last few years, maybe when I have turned 30, is that I will never take anyone's advice until I have paid for it or I have directly asked some particular person for advice.
Mm.
Otherwise, if someone tells me some advice and I didn't ask for it, it's a white noise for me. I don't listen to this because it's some their advice to some version of me that should act in some particular way that they want me to act, and it has nothing to do with my own life.
Wow, that's such a good piece of advice. Yeah, and I feel like most time people are projecting on you their own
Yes.
insecurities. So that's so good. And I think it's really important when you're like in your 20s to know this. I think you get to know this when you're in your mid 30s now, and I believe you and I are the same age, but in your 20s where it's such a formational period in your life, it's even more important. And Alexandra, I'm curious to know, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever gotten in your career?
In my career, the best piece of advice I actually got not from the customer success career, but some early ages on when I was interested in journalism and I started my copywriter career. I think that verifying all information, every information, the news, the content that you perceive in the social networks, it's the best advice that always helped me. And it actually helped me a lot, even in customer success. When especially you work with customers and you see something, for example, I don't know, someone starts telling that this customer might churn because they heard or saw something. You can verify this information from different sources, and that will save you from bad decisions or from getting anxious about what's actually happening. Again, when you want to do some framework or process to verify information from different resources as much as you can before proceeding with some decision. So I think that's the best advice that I've received, and I use it for the same still the same moment. I think it's very helpful in terms of your career and of your life, especially when you see again some news with AI. That
Mm.
I don't know, someone's job was eliminated because of something. Go check the source. If other news have the same, did they talk about the same case? If you can't find the second proof, that's probably some fake news.
I love that. It's really good to know how to filter through so much that is happening because we're
Yes.
constantly being bombarded by so many different things. So I think now more than ever, it's important to have like critical thinking and discernment as to like what you trust and what not.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
Definitely the case. Amazing, Alexandra. So, as we kind of get to the end of our conversations, and this one's been action packed with a lot of tangible, great perspectives, which is really cool. I think our audience will really appreciate. We like to kind of finish things with what we call a lightning round. We'll ask some quick questions for some quick answers. I promise nothing too difficult in terms of the questions, but I just want to see, Alexandra, are you ready for the lightning round portion
Yeah,
of our
yeah, let's try.
conversation? Yeah, amazing, awesome. Well, we'll start you out really easy. First question is, what's your favorite piece of content to consume? It could be a book, podcast, whatever it might be.
The first one is books, and I love reading books a lot. It's either just some regular books or some, I don't know, business books. For example, right now
Hmm.
I'm reading the book Powerful MBA because I saw that it was a bestseller at some point, and I decided to actually try myself and see what actual advices are there that I can get, especially in my this founder phase. Maybe there is
Hmm.
something useful. So yeah, books.
Awesome. Amazing. Great. Next question. Any favorite people to take inspiration from or that you'd recommend others to follow or check out?
I have a favorite influencer in customer success space, and I remember sometime I DM'd her and I told her, I think that at some point you think that I'm your crazy fan, but please don't. It's actually Miranda Zikonski, and I think she knows that I will at some point mention again her name, but actually she helped me to navigate my career a lot. I found her at the same moment when I started to pursue customer success. And I liked about her that she actually also had worked in the startups and scale ups. And she made me a favor by giving me this choice that I actually can be the customer success in startups and scale ups in this space. Because at that point, a lot of people pursued customer success only in corporate big environments as HubSpot, Gainsight, and Salesforce. And when I found out that I can relax and if I like startup environments, I can still be the customer success, it helped me a lot. And yeah, she has a lot of great advices, especially for someone who is starting their customer success career, who are the first time leader. So whoever don't know Miranda yet, but I think that at this point everyone knows her. Just follow her. She really have great advices and conversations.
Awesome. Great recommendation and great follow there for sure with Miranda. Awesome. Next question. So maybe this is my favorite question, but any kind of new concept or idea that you've learned about recently that caught your attention that you found really interesting? It could be, in CS or in any space, big or small.
I I can't actually remember anything particular. Maybe some concept that I recently maybe found out, but it has surprised me is that you all of you saw this that in 2025 there was a beginning of this trend that customer success should be responsible for revenue metrics. And I was surprised about this concept because I have worked with revenue metrics still since the beginning. I have even started as account manager. I was always responsible for some revenue metrics. And for me, it was so natural that I was surprised that there are some companies that don't put revenue metrics on customer success teams. So probably that was a concept that surprised me rather than it was a new for me.
Yeah, makes
I
sense. Makes
agree.
sense.
I agree with that. And Alexandra, what is one life philosophy you like to live by?
My life philosophy as soon as I'm healthy and I'm alive, I'm capable of anything. I'm trying to remind this of myself every day, and especially in some hardships. We all have hardships in our life during our day, and if you will, I don't know, get upset with something or you think that, oh, I can't do this, remember that you're still alive. And if you're still alive, that means that you can do this. Maybe not fully 100%, but still even on 50, and that will be amazing.
Beautiful. I love that. Alrighty. So on the weekends, when you are trying to decompress, what are you up to? How do you like to decompress? And most importantly, where can people find you if they're trying to connect with you?
So on the weekends, and my husband hates me for this, I like to take my dog and go for a 10 kilometers walk with my dog in the forest. And sometimes I take him with me. And because he's a car guy and he loves to drive car, walking even 5 kilometers for him is a disaster. But yeah, this is my way to, first of all, connect with nature and to just recharge myself. Where people can find me in my LinkedIn, and from LinkedIn you can find all other resources that I have: podcasts, Substack, and my company. So yeah, I'm pretty active there, so people can just DM me and will be happy to help.
Amazing.
Awesome.
And Alexandra, before we go, I just wanted to touch on this visual goal you have about seeing every famous painting in the world. How many are they in total, and how many have you seen?
I actually don't calculate them, but there in my head there is a list of famous paintings as I perceive them as famous, like Mona Lisa, there's Degas, Monet, and others. But the thing is, for example, they are all over the globe. For example, some of the Monet famous paintings and Van Gogh, they are actually in US, in Metropolitan Museum of New York. So even if you want to perceive some paintings of global famous artists, you actually need to travel a lot. But I think there is a lot. There is 100 for them, or for sure. And as you learn and grow in art, I think that this list will become bigger and bigger.
I love that. That's so geeky, and you're beautiful. So double charming right here.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. Awesome, Alexandra. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a great conversation. We really appreciate your time. We know you're busy, especially now with founder life and everything going on. So appreciate you spending some time with us and our audience.
Yeah, thanks,
Yes,
Ivy.
thank you,
Thank
Alexandra.
Heather for having me. It was amazing. And yeah, I advise everyone to listen your podcast because it's amazing
Thank
and you have very great guests that everyone should listen to.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We want to thank our sponsors for supporting the Success Revenue podcast. RevSetter is the #1 customer success and management platform in the Middle East region, offering global capabilities mixed with regional solutions that helps your CS, account management, and go-to-market teams 10x efficiency, improve customer experience, and turbocharge customer retention rates.
And thank you to Medlify, a leading marketplace. Workers and employers in the healthcare space needs and demands meet, great benefits for both sides. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.